Hello. Good day to you all. We are currently live on Twitch here on a Zoom meeting with our host, John Francis Miguel Trist, to give our day a nice and pleasant stream. And I will be here to voice out all your questions, and moments later we will see our guest for the day and with our system here to note down all those important details. Now, without further ado, let's welcome our host.
Good morning, good evening, good night to you all. I'm your host to this fantastic evening in 24/7 live updates. I'm John Francis Miguel Trisa with our guest today, no other than Mr. De Vera.
Good evening everyone, I'm Alexandria Anton M. De Vera, your guest tonight.
So how are you doing recently, De Vera?
I've been doing great and healthy in pandemic time. Actually, just recently, I learned how to play the guitar and drum set, accentuating the rock genre.
Thank you, De Vera. We're glad to hear that you are all good and learning new things and rocking. Hope we could hear some sample from you in your next visit. Now, let's head straight to today's topic. We're here to talk to you about the pandemic that caught the world by storm. Now, Mr. De Vera, as you know, we invited you here to remind our fellow viewers of the happenings of this pandemic and the vaccine development.
The current situation, a lot has changed. From our daily proceedings like morning jogs, even drinking coffee to the best coffee shop, we prepare to education up to the normal work lifestyle. With these changes, it has been a year that we have tried to adapt with the new normal, and yet we're still trying to keep up with the flow. Here are some tips that I can share, that I can say are my best practices. Jogging in places for some healthy morning exercises. Brewing coffee and drinking in my own veranda to relax and free up my mind, and setting a space for our occupational activities. Since we don't want any pains when we are relaxing, you know what I mean.
What about participating in online mass to keep our faith in God? And obviously, we should avoid crowded places and limit time in enclosed spaces to reduce infection rates in the country.
Yes, Francis, and we must also separate your space to work from your space to relax, so we can truly focus on our activities or even stop our procrastination when we are bothered in the workload. Also, regularly disinfect frequently, touch objects and surfaces to keep our families safe and worry-free.
Yes, Mr. De Vera, we must always keep in mind these tips so that we could live without that paranoia that we would be next. Now, as we all know, novel coronavirus, or better known as COVID-19, is a virus that targets the lungs, causing serious acute respiratory syndromes. It was first discovered in China at the Wuhan province. Now, Mr. De Vera, can you please explain to us the various effects or symptoms of COVID-19?
Thank you for the brief background of the virus, Francis. Now, the effect or symptoms rather are varying from case to case. Some have mild symptoms to very severe illnesses, and some of these symptoms are headache, loss of taste and scent, nasal congestion and rhinorrhea, cough, muscle pain, sore throat, fever, diarrhea, and breathing problems. These are all common symptoms encountered of those infected. The people infected primarily cough the disease, the cough sneezes, talks or breaths of other infected people. COVID-19 is more likely to be transmitted when people communicated closely and for longer periods of time. Larger droplets which fall to the ground and aerosols can be found closer distances, while aerosols are only found at longer distances. Staying at home, wearing a mask in public, avoiding crowded places, keeping a safe distance from others, ventilating indoor spaces, washing hands with soap and water often for at least 20 seconds. Practicing good respiratory hygiene and avoiding touching the eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands are all preventive measures to avoid infection.
Thank you, Mr. De Vera, for the handful of helpful ways to avoid infection and how the disease is spread. Now, COVID-19 was first discovered during December in China and was reported to the WHO during the end of December 2019. And at the end of January, it was declared to be a global outbreak, which then escalated to a global pandemic at March 11, 2020, which became the first designation since declaring the H1N1 influenza pandemic in 2009.
Excuse me, Francis. The audience has a question for Mr. De Vera. Mr. Devera, is it true that the vaccine can cause changes to our DNA when we get shot for immunity to COVID?
First of all, that rumor is false, and some of the effects that are most common will be the soreness of injection site, and other would include fatigue, headache, and muscle ache, chills, joint pain, and possibly some fever. Now, some may ask how long will the effects last. It will usually last for no more than a few days, usually 24 to 48 hours, and these side effects could vary depending on the vaccine that one will take, but they are similar after the Pfizer and Moderna mRNA vaccines. Now, some of you will be afraid getting vaccinated, but vaccination is a safe and effective way to prevent disease and save lives when we get vaccinated. When are not just protecting ourselves but also those around us. Some people, like those who are seriously ill, are advised not to get certain vaccines since it could cause worse problem. The pandemic has caused a decline in the number of children receiving routine immunization, which could lead to an increased illness and death from preventable disease. Was urged countries to ensure that essential immunization and health services continue despite the challenges posed by COVID-19.
Now, we got all of those cleared up. Mr. Devera, how were you able to keep up your shape in this pandemic and lockdown? Of course, many people were also able to, but some actually became chubby, like me. Can you share some of your ways to exercise and loosen up our bodies even at home?
I'd be glad to. Actually, it is very easy to keep one's body in shape and fit even at our homes. We just need to exercise, and it's also good way to help to decrease the possibility to be infected by the virus. Just eating balanced diet. First, we start with a good warm-up by doing jumping jacks, lunges, squats, arm circles, and possibly some backpedaling. If you have enough space in your homes, there are many more you could do, but there are some of my recommended warm-up exercises to loosen up our bodies. Now that we got the warm-up out, we could start with the workout exercises. Now there are many different exercises out there in many internet. I recommend you to try out all of these and see which one suits you the best.
Wow, simple but effective. There are many ways to keep fit, but simple ways can be neglected. Back to COVID in today's time, there are already vaccines being created, being the Pfizer, BioNTech, CoronaVac, and many more continue to be created. And just like Mr. Devera here said, the vaccines are here to help. Vaccinations is a safe and effective way to prevent disease and save lives. When we get vaccinated, we aren't just protecting ourselves, but also those around us. And this is where 24/7 live updates ends its program. Be safe and good evening.